Midwestern movie reviewer here with another movie review. I recently saw The Fall Guy in theaters in IMAX. I was excited to see this movie ever since the trailer came out. You had Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt in a huge movie together, following after Barbie and Oppenheimer together in a big action blockbuster. I was very excited. This was going to start the summer off amazingly, I hoped. So we'll get into that in a second. I also want to say, if you're new to my movie reviews, please like and subscribe. This movie was directed by David Lynch. Turns out he's a former stuntman himself and has done some really great films. Look up what he has directed. He's directed a lot of really fun things like Deadpool and some other action movies. This movie had that going for it. The Fall Guy is rated PG-13 and it's about 2 hours and 5 minutes long. So I'll have to say, when I went to the theater to see this, I had a rocky start. I went to the movie theater and the movie crashed right immediately after the commercials. We're sitting there waiting. Not a good way to start your movie. Then when they got it going, it was describing everything that was happening. So you'd have Ryan Gosling walk across the street and the man would go, and Ryan Gosling is walking across the street. And then he would do some dialogue and then it would say, and then he looks at that man puzzled. I was like, oh no, I'm going to lose my what. This movie's going to be doing that the entire film. They stopped it twice to fix that issue. I'm getting frustrated because this is going to be a long movie and it wasn't going well. And then they were playing it super loud. Loud music, just super loud. And I know some people like to have their stuff loud, and honestly, I do love it loud, but not this loud. I saw a couple get up and leave not very long into the movie, and I'm sure it was because it was so loud. I honestly started to look for something to stick in my ears to kind of tone it down a bit, and I just gave up and just let it be loud. Be aware of this. This movie is about a stuntman who starts up a relationship with like a director's assistant or a camera assistant on the set. He gets hurt and their relationship ends up breaking up because he just disappeared. Later on, all of a sudden, now she's a director. And he gets brought back into the stuntman business and is trying to reconnect with her. You saw Ryan Gosling as Ken. He's Ken in this movie. If you're wondering what type of a character is he playing, he's playing Ken as a stuntman. Emily Blunt is not her character in Oppenheimer. And I hesitated to say this, but I'm going to have to say this. In my opinion, and I'm not any kind of a surgeon or anything like that. I'm just a regular person who loves movies. It looks like she's had some work done that looks odd. And so it was very distracting during the movie, looking and going, what did she do? What has she had done? She's had some work that was not the best work done. And it's distracting throughout much of the film. So be aware of that. And I will say, I want to use this as a moment to say, as someone who loves movies and has since she was a child, I don't care if women are aging naturally. I don't want to see someone that looks plastic and strange in my movie. I want to enjoy them as that character. And if that character is a 40-year-old woman, a 50-year-old woman, a 60, 70-year-old woman, I'm fine with them looking like what that person would look like. They're beautiful because they're actresses, of course, but they don't even have to be beautiful. They can be ordinary and do a performance that's amazing and that you believe and you get drawn into. So whatever Hollywood is doing to these actresses, making them feel like they have to alter their faces and their bodies to match some crazy level of, I don't know what, forever youth or something, whatever they're reaching for. For a movie lover, they don't have to do that. And it's setting a standard for people in the world that watch these movies that they'll never be able to attain, and they shouldn't even try. People should feel comfortable to age. That's part of life. So I'm off my soapbox now. Emily Blunt was gorgeous before. I wish she hadn't done this to herself. She's still pretty. She didn't need this work. Back to the movie review. The actors in this movie, I'm going to name them off. Of course, Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. There was also Hannah Waddingham. You would know Hannah Waddingham from Ted Lasso. Also, she was in the Game of Thrones. Other actors in the film were Teresa Palmer, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Winston Duke, and Stephanie Sue. The things I liked about this action romantic comedy, were the performances by Ryan Gosling. He's a lot of fun, he's charming, and he's a great actor. Can't help but like his performance. This movie also had some really interesting camera work. Some of the best camera work I've seen in a while that was very artistic and cool. Almost like the most recent movie that I saw that had some great camera work was Poor Things. This one had some interesting ways they put the camera together, just the way they shot the scenes. It was really neat. If you enjoy that kind of thing, you'll like that. Also, Winston Duke and Stephanie Sue, their performances were great. They did supporting roles, and they were great. Now to the things that I did not love about this movie. First of all, I love a movie that I like it to really dig into one genre. It can have a little bit of something, but really focus on something. So I wish this movie had been either more romantic, more funny, or more focused on the action, on an action film. Because they kind of did a little bit of all three. It fell flat. It wasn't romantic. They seemed more like friends to me, which tends to seem a little bit gross. If friends are trying to get romantic, it's not very believable. You're just like, okay, that's gross. They're kissing. Ew. And I really love romances when they have a lot of chemistry, when you're like, oh, they're in love. Like you can feel it through the screen. You felt friendship through the screen, and no. Okay, I already mentioned that it was way too loud. The music wasn't very great. Every once in a while, they brought up a nostalgic old 80s song or something. And I love that. You know, those were throwbacks to the old Fall Guy. But most of the time, it was just super, whatever the music was, that was the background. What do you call it? Like a score, was way too loud. You don't have to see this in IMAX. That's not necessary. I saw it in IMAX and I could tell that, hey, okay, this would have been the same or just as enjoyable on a regular screen. This movie wasn't funny enough. I maybe grinned once or twice, but it wasn't really that funny. So it was kind of boring at times. I could tell that Ryan Gosling was really trying hard to bring his charisma and charm, but it just needed more. The story needed more. Hannah Waddingham, she wore a really terrible wig in this too, only surpassed by an ugly wig that Ryan Gosling wore in part of this. Like when he had it on, I was like, oh, that's a horrible wig. Could they not have done better for him? Her wig was worse. So there were just some aspects of this movie that I did not love. I wanted to. I was so excited to see this, but guys, no, I didn't love this. So Midwestern Movie Reviewer says, if you're a fan, like this movie is probably for kids that saw Barbie, are in love with Ken, and okay, they want to see Ken in something else. Well, here you go. The Fall Guy. Yeah, because this is not the best vehicle for Emily Blunt. Like she was amazing in a quiet place. The Quiet Place. She was amazing in that. And I think that I like her more in something dramatic, and something that's a comedy or that's kind of light. No, I don't love her in that. I loved her in The Devil Wears Prada. That was kind of funny, but her character wasn't funny. Her character was kind of mean. So she brings something, an edge or something gritty to her characters. I loved her in that one Tom Cruise movie where it was like a time travel something and she was a soldier. I just like her in more gritty roles, and this was trying to be light, and I don't know, it didn't work. So Midwestern Movie Reviewer says, that's who should go see this. I think that this movie may not do that well at the box office, sadly. Midwestern movie reviewer out.